Good day, I am Precious Source, and we will tackle strikes and we'll dig deeper into their types. Now, what is a strike? The strike is a very powerful weapon used by trade unions and other labor associations to get their demands accepted by putting or bringing pressure on their employer. So, strike action, also called labor strike, is a work stoppage caused by the mass refusal of employees to work. A strike usually takes place in response to employee grievances. Now, let us discuss about the different types of strikes. First, economic strike. Under this type of strike, labor stop their work to enforce the economic demands such as wages and bonuses. So it is specified that this strike is all about the wages and bonuses. So that's what we call economic strike. The next one is the sympathetic strike. The member of other unions involve themselves in a strike to support or express their sympathy with the members of unions who are on strike in other undertakings. So yeah, sympathize. General strike. It may be a strike of all the workers in a particular region of industry to force demands common to all the workers. General strike. Next one is the sit down strike. Workers show up to their place of employment but they refuse to work. They also refuse to leave, which makes it very difficult for employers to defy the union and take the workers' place. So, ilang i-address ang purpose ana nga strike. Kaya makig-negotiate sila sa ilang employees. Slow down strike. Go slow is yet another form of industrial protest in which workmen do not stop the work but deliberately slow down the process of production in order to cause loss of production to the employer. So, by that, murag mapugos gyud ang employer nga ilang i-address ang purpose ani nga strike and dapat ila po tong i-review kung win-win situation ba, makaayos ba sa ilaha and sa ilahang employees. Next one is the wildcat strike. These strikes are conducted by workers or employees without the authority and consent of unions. Kaya ang strikes, dili lang ka basta-basta mag-strikes kay na kay gusto i-demand. But then, magkuha ka og, unsa ni tawag, magkuha ka og go signal which is kana mag-apply pa kaani kung maaprubahan ba tapos napaihatag nga days 14 days kung dili ni ma-address sa employer kay dili pod ka I mean kung dili ma-address sa employer within 14 days haya ka pwede maka-strikes pero kung matag ma-response maka-response ang employer or maki-negotiate sa imo so dili na madayon ang strikes. So that's it. So, how will the topic make you a better HR practitioner of an organization? As I conduct research on this fascinating subject, I realized that it is necessary to have information about these type of issues, since by simply understanding these terms may help to prevent them from occurring. So there are several methods for resolving organizational misunderstandings. If we can prevent strikes, it would be ideal for me. We must do it because it might cost us all tremendously. So kung atong malikayan, why not atuan na lang yung likayan, di ba? By responding and, di ba? That's it. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Jomar Rosales and I am here to discuss the rules on strike and disciplinary actions. A strike is a work stoppage induced by employees' refusal to work, usually in protest of a decision made by their employer. The National Labor Relations Act guarantees the right to strike. However, not all strikes are legal. Now let's talk about whether a strike is legal or illegal. Lawful purposes. A strike is legal and therefore protected by the NLRA if the employees are striking for economic reasons or to protest an unfair labor practice by their employer. No strike clauses. Even strikes with a legal purpose are not protected by the NLRA if the union's contract with the employer includes a no strike clause. A strike that violates a no strike provision is illegal. Strike misconduct. A strike can also become unlawful if strikers engage in serious misconduct, such as violence, threats, or sit-down strikes, in which employees refuse to leave their workplace and refuse to work. Now, how can the employer respond on a strike? Employers are legally allowed to hire replacement workers during the strike. Once the strike ends, the employer's obligation to bring back striking workers depends on the reason for the strike. Employees who strike to protect an unfair labor practice cannot be fired or permanently replaced. When the strike is over, these employees must be reinstated to their jobs. Employees who strike for economic reasons have lesser reinstatement rights. If the employer has hired permanent replacements, Economic strikers aren't entitled to immediate reinstated. Disciplinary actions. A disciplinary action is a reprimand or corrective action in response to employee misconduct, rule violation, or poor performance. Depending on the severity of the case, a disciplinary action can take different forms, including verbal warning, written warning, performance improvement plan, temporary pay cut, loss of privilege, suspension, demotion, and lastly termination. For verbal warning, it is a disciplinary measure where an employer speaks to an employee about an issue involving their behavior, conduct, or job performance. Written warning, it is used by an employer and in the form of a document to warn an employee of their actions in the workplace. Performance improvement plan, also known as performance action plan, it is designed to give an employee chance to improve. For temporary pay cut, is a reduction in an employee's salary due to their negative performance. For loss of privilege is taking away some employee rights or benefits as a negative consequence caused by a misconduct. For suspension, a temporary removal of an employee from performing his or her work duties and from receiving pay. For demotion, reduces an employee's job title, role, or duties, and their pay decreases as well. And lastly, termination refers to the end of an employee's contract with a company. How will this topic make us a better HR practitioner of an organization? For all of us who are soon to be HR professionals, this topic will teach us how to manage if we find ourselves in a situation related to a strike and to help us determine whether the strike is legal or not. Always connect to the people of the organization with empathy so that we can anticipate how the company and its employees' relationship will develop. That will be all. Thank you.
On May 1, 1903, the Union Obrera Democrática de Filipinas, or known formally as the Union Obrera Democrática, the first workers' union in the country, staged a massive rally calling for an 8-hour working day and the recognition of May 1 as a public holiday. This strike, led by Dominador Gomez and attended by over 100,000 people. The rally culminated in the arrest of several members as well as the harassment of workers' groups in the succeeding months.
anunsyo na ang nilabas ng Department of Labor. Subalit, hindi pinapatupad ng kapitalistang Tanduay. Mga kasama, mga kababayan, umabot na po ng 4 na buwan ang aming laban dito sa paggawa ng Tanduay. Lahat ng legal na proseso, ginawa po ng mga manggagawa. Ginawa po namin upang may pagtagumpay namin na nairehistro ang aming asosasyon sa paggawa ng Tanduay. Subalit, ito ang naging ganti ng kapitalistang Tanduay. Marahas, pambabato at panunugdot ng mamahabang bakal na galing sa mga security guard at nakuha pa ng bulok na pulis magpaputok ng baril dito mga kababayan. Kaya mga kababayan, nai-restore namin ang araw na ito, ang isang dekada na pagkukunita sa pagkamatay ni Kapor. Nire-restore din namin ang ginawa ng mga bayarang goods at security guard tinusutan. Ganon din, nire-restore namin sa inyo ang ginawa ng kapulisan ng Kabuyaw. Huwag po tayo mawala ng pag-asa. Ipagpatuloy natin ang ating sinimulang laban. Ipagpatuloy natin kung ano ang inumpisahan ni Kapor na laban. Tayo ang magpapatuloy. Wala ba kayo magawa? Grabe mga pulis ang
So, answering this question, analyzing the history of strikes in the Philippines from the 1990s, majority of its cause is because of lack of rights policies with no sense of protection for employees. But today, from what I have experienced and stories heard, there are a lot of formalities that sometimes hinders HR practitioners to resolve conflicts or think outside of formal procedure that often leads to bigger issues such as this. As for me, to become an effective HR practitioner, I still believe and will apply the traditional approach to conflict resolution. I'm talking about sorting and acknowledging differences face to face and not end to just filing a report or sending an email. It's time for us, HR practitioner, to set up and raise its conflict resolution game. There is a real opportunity for us, for the profession, to be driving this development of cultures that promote and encourage healthy conflict rather than harmful and dysfunctional disputes. It's about bringing that dialogue back into the mindset of the modern workplace and helping to build that positive, lasting, and resilient relationship that will help our organizations navigate these unprecedented challenges that we are facing. And it's also about recognizing the need to upskill our line managers because they are the front line when disputes starts to bubble. But often they don't have that confidence, that competence, and the courage even to deal with the conflict. Conflict isn't something to be afraid of. If we can manage appropriately, it can be a powerful driver for growth, insight, and innovation. Healthy, functional conflict is something organizations should be embracing rather than avoiding. So, ending my answer, it's time. For a resolution revolution, an HR needs to be leading the charge.